Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Cabinet on Friday, the 16th of February 2024. I'm the Chairman and Leader of the Council, Mark Stevenson. We have a short agenda today, and I think I'm just going to crack on with it. So the first agenda item is apologies for absence.
Thank you, Leader. This morning I can give apologies for absence from Councillor Mike Bush, the portfolio holder for the environment, and Councillor Gary Scott, the leader of the Liberal Democrats group. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much. Item agenda number 2, minutes of the meeting held on Friday, the 26th of January. I am happy to move them. Can I have a seconder, please? And are they correct?
Happy to move them as a correct record, Chair.
We in agreement? Thank you very much. Item number 3, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? No. Okay. In that case, we'll go on to item number 4, announcements by the Leader of the Council. I have 3. So yesterday, Councillor Baker and I went to the Housing First Housing Conference I think we've had in quite some time over at Essex University with all the North Essex leaders, chief execs, and a whole host of developers, health executives. I've probably missed a few people out there. And it was to address the housing situation that we find ourselves in. It was a really good meeting. There's a summary document that will be coming out to all the people who participated. I'll look forward to sharing that with the Cabinet in due course. Second thing I would like to mention is we've got the Pride of Tendering Awards tonight, so I'm looking forward to that. It's always a good opportunity to remember all the excellent work our volunteer sector does for us, and to especially those champions that have been doing it for quite some time and made such commitments to our community. And then the third thing was I had the privilege of a couple of weeks ago, I think it's Wednesday, a week ago, Jane and Councillor Guglielmi, Councillor Chapman and I, and a few others, I think were there. We did the Stars Awards, where we were just blown away by the level of commitment by our staff, and including the new award where we talk about making a difference. Well, 4 members of the public with our staff, and they were duly applauded and awarded recognition for that. Those are my announcements. Mac. Good morning, Councillor Guglielmi. Item agenda number 5, announcements by Cabinet members. There are none today. Number 6, matters referred to Cabinet by the Council. There are none. Number 7, matters referred to the Cabinet by committee. There are none. Number 8, leaders of the council items. There are none. Number 9, report of the Corporate Finance and Governance Portfolio Holder Annual Review of the Council's Constitution. So I will be leading on this one, and I think I'm going to start by saying thank you to the Working Party who gave me some help, Councillor Guglielmi, as part of that. And it follows on from a long tradition that was set up actually by yourself, wasn't it, Councillor Guglielmi? Yeah. So of where we tried to make the Constitution work extremely well for the Council and address all of the bits and pieces. I have no intention of reading the recommendations, which are a page and a half long. So I'm going to move it. Lead a seconder, please. Councillor Baker. Okay. Well, I heard you second it, Councillor Baker. It appears your microphone's not working. And I was just wondering if there were any comments on that. And I have a couple. Councillor Guglielmi.
Thank you, Chairman. Apologies for being late. Road was closed between Tendring and A133, so I had to go by Thorpe. Yeah, I'd like to echo your comments. This is a long-established tradition. It was the very first cross-party working group that was set up in 2013, I believe, Ms. Hastings here. And when we set it up, a previous member of the council questioned the reason why would we want to look at the Constitution, and said, well, it's because it's you can't live in the past, you've got to move on and live in the future. And it's worked extremely well over the years. what is that, multi-party support, and most of the time it's managed to bring together general assent into whatever changes we make, and that's great. So just one item, well, you probably know what I'm going to raise, the ability for a county member to speak at planning committee. I think it's really don't need a hammer to crack a nut, but sledgehammer to crack a nut. But there should be some flexibility there when high-profile planning applications in that division members would come forward. There should be some leniency to allow a county member to address committee, especially when it involves a huge amount of people in the area. But I will not say any more than that. I was happy to leave that in your capable hands. And but everything else that we reviewed, it's got my total support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Guglielmi. Councillor Bray.
Thank you, Leader. Supporting my colleague, Councillor Guglielmi, on that. As a former member and long-standing member of the Planning Committee, sometimes it is quite useful to get a broader view, and County Council can give that. So the opportunity for them to address the Planning Committee, I think, would be useful, or certainly to have the flexibility to allow that to be a possibility. So I'll pick up on that one. I think the only other comments I'd make are quite clearly there's a substantial amount of change in here, whereas there's quite a lot. So I'm very pleased that we continue to review. My experience tells me when you make a lot of changes, some of them don't always work. So the smart thing to do is have ongoing reviews to find out which bits they are. So I'm pleased to see that. The other comment I would make is recommendation part C, the moving of the start time of the Planning Committee. A number of members, I believe, have already said that they find that quite difficult. And I know that there's some effort being made here to make sure that those members, ward members who call in an application will get the opportunity to have that application move further down the list. The problem, of course, with that is almost all of the applications that are called into the Planning Committee are called in by a ward member. So you might find yourself with a bum wet to everybody trying to go last. That is an issue. The overall issue, however, is slightly bigger. It doesn't sound that great moving it back from 6 o'clock to 5 o'clock, but actually what we've done there is we've brought it into people's normal working hours. And I appreciate if somebody really wants to come along, they can take time off work. But I think we've always prided ourselves on being a very transparent and open council. And I wonder if that doesn't just make us a little less so, in that we are making it a little harder for some people to come along when they want to. That does concern me. A few concerns coming in. Also, we're hearing some noises from the parish councils on that too. And of course, they like to be represented at planning meetings as well. So I think all of those things do matter and they are important, but I hope we'll get more opportunity to talk about it later. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bray. And Councillor Baker.
Thank you, Chairman. I have a microphone that works, so hopefully you can hear me. I'm quite happy to second this. I actually look forward to this report coming forward because it's refreshing to see that, as it has in the past, that all groups contribute and it's a living document. So it needs to be reviewed, it needs to be amended. There is a lot in there, as Councillor Bray says, but I think it's all for the good. I take his comments about the start time of planning. It went out to members responded, and the majority of the members who responded wanted it to be at 5 o'clock. However, if it doesn't work, then it can be reviewed again. That's all I have to say on that matter. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Bray.
Thank you, Leader, and I thank Councillor Baker for the comments there. I think he's hit the nail on the head. The need to continually look at things when we change things to make sure that the change actually does what we thought it would do. So I'm very pleased to get that response from him. I think there are still concerns over the 5 o'clock. We'll see how that goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bray. Sorry, I didn't turn my mic off, so we didn't get a picture of you. So, right, in response, Councillor Guglielmi, in number 2C, you can see that I've still left that open with, I'll further investigate it. And as you also raised it, Councillor Bray, it is something I will look at, and I just haven't got round to be able to do it at this point in time. As for the 5 PM, well, you'll be glad to know you'll get a second bite of the cherry. That goes to full council, so you'll be able to talk to her about that. And I think I'll leave my comments and responses for that meeting rather than drag out this one. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. Can I have an agreement, please? Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to move us on to agenda item number 10. And I believe this is a report of the partnership portfolio holder, determination of a nomination of register of an asset of community value, namely the Lion Public House in the street Ardley. And I believe this is Councillor Placey.
It is indeed. As you said, it's about adding the Lion Pub in Ardley to the Council's Register of Community Assets. The Localism Act 2011 allows local residents to register what are called assets of community value. In short, that means land or buildings that further the social well-being or social interests of the local community. The buildings need to have that social use now or have had it in the recent past, and it should be clear that social use should continue in the future. The Lion Pub fits these criteria. There is a process to go through under the legislation to register a building. Residents of Ardley have followed that process in this case. If approved, buildings stay on the register for 5 years. If the building is sold in that period, the community is given the first refusal to buy it, although the seller is not obliged to accept the offer made by the local community. The report explains this process in detail. So the Lion Pub fits the criteria of an asset of community value, and local residents have followed the correct procedure to add it to the register. So I move the recommendation on page 72 of the agenda that Cabinet should agree to add the Lion Pub to the Council's list of assets of community value. Thank you.
Chair, I'm quite happy to second the recommendation.
Thank you very much. And do I have any comments? Councillor Guglielmi.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I am utterly against this community asset value to registration. In my time since this was introduced, only 3 places have actually processed to become what they're meant to be. All it does, it just delays the whatever can be done with the problem for 6 months. And only then the community can come together to raise enough funds. And as Councillor Placey said, the owner is not duty bound to accept the offer. So it's really frustrating, especially in this case when there is already a commercial operator that is very willing to reopen the site for commercial purposes. It just added an extra 6 months frustration. And then what happened? In that 6 months, the proposed operator decides to up and go. You then left with an empty premises for until the kingdom come, to be honest with you. And I know you've got also where you're sitting now, and officers kept telling us, yes, you've got to accept it because that's what the legislation says. But I mean, there's only 3 places. As I said, the Cross at Bromley, the Maybush in Oakley, and the another one in Kirby, in Great Holland, which have made a success. But out of all the dozens of applications that we've processed, it's such a small amount of success rate that it's quite pitiful, really. But I understand you're duty bound, but the consequences could be that the operator will get frustrated and leave the place, and the place will be left empty. I very much doubt the community will be able to raise enough money to do anything with the sites. But I understand you're duty bound to do that. There's no question there, just some comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Guglielmi. And I'll share your frustration sometimes with the community assets process, where we are, as you just said, legislation makes us duty bound to go through the promotions, and we literally have no choice. So, anybody want to speak to Councillor Henderson?
Yeah, I can see, Councillor Guglielmi has listed some successes, and I can see some of the reason why this was brought in, and it was to protect our public houses, which are really under threat. I mean, the amount we've lost over the past years to just be changed, people buy them out and then turn them into housing developments. And I can give you another one for your list. The Hanover was successful. Unfortunately, it's burnt down since, but that was one which was going to be particularly a very important one to the history of our area, a public house, which was going to be turned into housing. We held on to that, and the person who wanted to change it then left, and that it remained a pub. Hopefully, it'll be rebuilt and it will still be a pub. But yeah, I think the overall scheme was, because there was Cameron and lots of organisations all worried about losing the good old traditional public house.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Both very good arguments for both sides of the coin, isn't it? And yeah, I agree with both. It's just about not having that flexibility, isn't it? So it's been moved by Councillor Placey, seconded by Councillor Baker. Can I have an agreement on that, please? Agree. Thank you very much. That's moved. And that is the end of our agenda. Probably one of the shortest cabinet meetings we're going to have for some time. So I hereby close the meeting.